Deontay Wilder versus Eric Molina. Deontay Wilder gets Eric out in round 9 by TKO. Now, I must say, I was surprised how deep into this fight Eric Molina got. I predicted that it couldn't possibly be competitive, put simply because I believed Eric Molina would be too bad to live with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is a guy who, throughout his career, I've been fairly sceptical of. However, I was quite impressed with the improvements and step forwards he took against Bermane Stiverne. And I thought, using that form line, he should be able to walk through a guy like Eric Molina relatively quickly. I viewed Eric Molina as quite one-paced, very slow, quite predictable, and fundamentally limited and lacking in class at the top level. Now, Deontay Wilder won pretty much every round of the fight. Maybe you'd give one round here to Eric Molina. But, it was a very dominant performance from Deontay Wilder. There were multiple knockdowns en route to the stoppage. What I would say, however, is despite the fact it was a dominant performance against an opponent at this level, there was perhaps more cause for concern, and more questions asked than answered, having seen this fight. I think the first thing is, you've got to question, Deontay Wilder, we've seen him all the way up being an absolutely thunderous puncher, but is that more reflective of the level of opposition he's been in with his best fights being Liakovic, Malik Scott, Audley Harrison, prior to Bermane Stiverne? Because the second he's stepped up, Bermane Stiverne, top 10 heavyweight at the time, Eric Molina, top 50 heavyweight, I guess, suddenly the devastating, brutal knockouts seem to have ceased. The sort of icing people in one round and leaving them shaking on the floor has ended. But he hit Bermane Stiverne with every punch in the arsenal, and Stiverne went 12. He was landing on Eric Molina with ease at times, and Molina was able to go 9. Clearly, Deontay Wilder is a very big puncher. We saw that even in this fight. He was dropping Molina, and clearly he's one of the harder punchers in the sport. But now, having seen him fight at more of a competitive level, I've got cause for doubt that the guy punches as hard as Vladimir Klitschko, for example. I don't see, you look at Klitschko dropping the likes of Povetkin, knocking out the likes of Pulev, knocking out the likes of Tony Thompson, the top level guys. I'm slightly sceptical whether Wilder has that top 5, top 10 elite power. He's always going to be a bigger puncher and a well above average puncher, but in terms of hardest puncher in the sport that he appeared to be on the way up, that's slightly less clear now. Anyway, that wasn't the main sort of gripe with Deontay Wilder in this fight. I think the main thing is his defence. The fact he was caught by Molina on several occasions. I think it was the third round where he was caught by a heavy left hook. It really hurt him. You could see that. His legs stiffened. He sort of bent at the knees. Deontay Wilder, I don't think he's... people are very, very critical on his chin. We've seen him take some punches now from Molina, from Bermane Stiverne. I don't think he's got a terrible chin. It's not as simple as, you're going to hit him and he's going to go. But I do think, if you look at his build, you look at how skinny his legs are, you look at the fact that he's been knocked out in the amateurs, dropped by a journeyman, I don't get the impression he's got an absolutely granite chin, let's put it that way. And it's slightly concerning if a fighter like Eric Molina is able to find the gaps in his defence. His hands are low, he goes back with his chin up in the air, he's very straight up, and he's very open to sort of looping punches, really. I think that's a big error in his game. He's just not defensively aware, which is always even more of a concern when you've got a fighter where there are some questions on his chin. So I think potentially the defence is a real issue for Deontay Wilder, because if he fights the likes of Alexander Povetkin next, he's going to need a world-class chin to take punches from Alexander Povetkin in the same ilk as the ones Eric Molina landed in him. So if we assume that he doesn't have a world-class chin, there's going to need to be some improvements to his defence before that fight if he's to be successful. I mean, the defence, the chin, these are obvious areas for concern. But for me, another one is he's still very amateurish in how he closes the show. I've made this comment on so many videos over the months and years now. I remember highlighting this when he knocked out Audley Harrison, and he came charging in like a windmill, throwing crazy punches from stupid angles and really leaving himself at huge risk. And it's kind of the same again, maybe not to the same extent in this fight, but he literally, when he gets an opponent hurt, he almost abandons technique, and you saw him here almost running after Eric Molina, and Molina sort of turned his back due to the power of the Wilder punch. But, Wilder's like sort of trying to hit him round the back of the head and trying to, almost come round his back with punches, and the referee's screaming stop, 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 and he's continuing to throw, and you wonder, does he just lose? He's so desperate to get the close. He's risking. I could see a potential in future for him to get in trouble with disqualifications. Because he tries to hit opponents on the way down. That sort of thing. He continues punching after the referee tells him to stop, and that's one risk. The other risk is he's going to get counterpunched because he charges across the ring, abandoning defence, throwing windmill style punches, and someone really intelligent, someone could lay a trap for him and catch him there. So, all in all, a dominant performance from Deontay Wilder. I guess given the lack of depth in his resume, this has to go down as one of his top 3 or 4 wins. Although, as I said before in my pre-fight video, I picked Malik Scott over Eric Molina. I may even pick Audley Harrison over Eric Molina. I don't rate Molina whatsoever. But nonetheless, a dominant win from Wilder. One big praise I'd give for him is the way he dropped Molina with the left hook. He's seen as predominantly a puncher who operates with a straight right hand, so fair play to him for developing some punch variety. He clearly has weapons in both hands, and for taller fighters, Klitschko, etc., that lead left hook is a very good weapon. So if Wilder could develop that, it would be a real weapon to his arsenal. So fair play to Deontay Wilder. My question is, with Alexander Povetkin up next, with the power he's shown in his recent fights, can Wilder really be successful with the amateurishness and sort of defensive frailties that are active in his game? If a fighter is slow, as sluggish, and as limited as Eric Molina is exposing those gaps, what is a guy like Alexander Povetkin going to do? What is a guy like Vladimir Klitschko going to do? When he eventually fights Wilder. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks very much for watching.